was good, GGB fam? Welcome to the week 6 weekly recap and the last week of this meta. There's obviously the mini pack came out today and the meta might shift a bit, so that's why I wanted to start with the meta breakdown. Before I go into the reports, I did want to see the meta breakdown a bit. In week 6, obviously last week, week 6, it was pretty dominant by Puzzle. Puzzle went like 5-0 in one war. It went 8-0 in another war. So it was like a very good week for Puzzle. The deck got a bit changed to do a bit better versus its counters, and that's what we also see in the reports later on, that you will see that sometimes teams running a counter and Puzzle would beat the counter, and then obviously that forces a repeat, and sometimes the repeat gets wasted because Puzzle wins versus the counter back to back. But with that being said, let's start with the reports. And first off, we got Smogon Deck Lab versus Solar Beam Syndicate, and this was a win for Smogon Deck Lab, which put Solar Beam Syndicate at 6-2. Not 6-2, what am I talking about? It put them at 4-2. Yeah, my bad. 4-2, and we see, as like I was saying earlier, right? You can see that Puzzle Formosa, they brought in Charizard Incineroar, which usually is brought in to counter Puzzle Formosa, but you see that it won twice. Actually, it won 3 times, and it forced Solar Beam Syndicate to use the repeats early on, trying to stop Puzzle Formosa, and Charizard Incineroar did beat the Puzzle after 3 tries. So yeah, pretty just like dominant display from Puzzle this week. And obviously Charizard Incineroar later closed the war out for Smogon, getting them a 10-6 win over Solar Beam Syndicate. Next up, we got Froggy X Red versus Mia Stardust Princess. And what I know from this war, this obviously was this one streamed? I think this was streamed. Obviously, yeah, Froggy X Red, and they usually stream. But what I know from this game is that Charizard Stoutland kind of surprised Mia Stardust Princess, and it got some wins early on, and then Puzzle obviously again closed out the war and did Puzzle things, and Froggy X Red won 10-4 over Mia Stardust Princess. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I remember from what I've been told from this, was that Charizard Stoutland kind of surprised Mia's team. They didn't really expect Charizard Stoutland, so it kind of caught them off guard, and then Puzzle obviously just closed that out. Next up, we have Terre Baguette versus Third Eye, which Third Eye won 10-7, and okay, Third Eye didn't use any repeats, I guess, which is kind of funny to see. And then Terre Baguette obviously repeated Sovali Rampardos versus Oricori Magnezone. Worked out because it did beat Oricori Magnezone and then got into, and yeah, if there is anything more about this, it was pretty back and forth. I can see that was pretty back and forth, but then yeah, Third Eye did just win it in the end. But it was pretty back and forth, and obviously it was a close war. But yeah, I don't really have anything to say. I guess the decks all look standard. I don't see any standout decks. Always just because obviously the meta is solved, and next week it should be more interesting and there should be like more variety. But for now, this is just a solid meta, and yeah, it was just close. And yeah, that's just how this meta has been, where it's been getting pretty close, they're either this close or it's just like a streak. So yeah, next up we have Team A versus Power of Chaos, which this is the word I was talking about. So Dr. Indigo started 5-0. He started 5-0 with Puzzle, so Stila, and then Solgaleo comes in and beats it, and then it loses to Guzzlord, and then Power of Chaos brings in Puzzle and gets them 2 wins. And then Charizard Stoutland comes in, beats the Puzzle. Then Sylvally Zeraora beats Charizard, and it beats Guzzlord, they repeated Guzzlord and Stoutland. Obviously, they repeated Stoutland versus Puzzle, and they repeated Guzzlord versus Sylvally Zeraora. And then Puzzle reverse swept. So Puzzle in the same war went 5-0, and then it reverse swept with 1, 2, 3, and it went 5-0. So Team A started 5-0, and then Puzzle won 5 in a row to reverse sweep and let Power of Chaos win 10-8. And yeah, obviously Charizard Stoutland got repeated, and yeah, but yeah, this war was actually kind of crazy to see when the results came out, because Team A got such a good lead, then Power of Chaos clutched out towards the end. All right, next we got Pocket Chess versus Team Question Mark, and I did watch this. Team Question Mark streamed it. I watched it in our VC live, and Toby went 8-0. He went 8-2 in the week, but Buzzwell went 8-0 before it lost. So yeah, and he beat 2 counters. Obviously, he beat Solgaleo, Shinotic, and Silvally Persephilon. So yeah, just like a very good showing from Toby. 8-0 with Buzzwell. Yeah, and I do remember some moments he did. Like there was one game where he I think it was versus one of the Buzzwells where he top decked Guzma. Like they retreated a Buzzwell and put it in the back, and Toby goes top deck Guzma, and then like the Buzzwell had 50 HP, and Toby top decks Guzma take off the Leaf Cape and kill it with Fermosa, and that was game. But yeah, the strong showing from Toby let Pocket Chefs win 10-3 this week. A huge RD boost, obviously, but just this is what I'm saying. Like Buzzwell, so Steel is just crazy. Like it's just been crazy in GGB this week because it did get optimized. It did get optimized to beat stuff like its counters usually. So yeah, but that's all I have to say about this. Toby played very well. He did top deck the Guzma once, which is my favorite moment. And there was also another moment with me where he wasn't streaming his game, but he streamed by accident he streamed a screenshot of his deck, which was pretty funny. And it's like, oh, am I streaming the wrong thing? And everyone like, yeah. But alright, next week Phoenix versus Italian Psyduck, which this was an interesting report when I first saw it, because if you see, I think they brought 3 Charizard Silvally. Obviously, we didn't see all their players, so they might have brought 5 Charizard Silvally, which is pretty funny. But yeah, they played Charizard Silvally, and yeah, Charizard Silvally just beat Solgaleo, Shinotic. It beat Guzzlord. Maybe Phoenix didn't really bring a lot of Buzzwell. They brought in Buzzwell towards the end. Maybe Phoenix could have brought more Buzzwell. I'm obviously not sure. Obviously versus Charizard Silvally, if they brought 5 Charizard Silvally, many Buzzwell Buzzwell maybe wasn't that good into a lot of Charizard Silvallies, which ITP brought. They might have brought 5 Charizard Silvally, which is funny to think about. But yeah, ITP did win in the end, 10-4. I mean, it was really just the Charizard Silvallis, I guess. Always Silvally Rampardos got 2 wins, but it was mostly the Stardust. Wrong franchise. Charizard Silvally got this win. And then what is this? Alright, next up we got Hyper Offense versus Splash Gaming, and Splash Gaming won 7-10. Pretty back and forth. Yeah, Hyper Offense really not been their season, obviously, and Splash Gaming is on a 2-game win streak, and yeah, Buzzwell, Celesteela doing well again, which not surprising. Palkia Silvally, which was a new deck that kind of got tested towards the end of the meta. It's like Manaphy, Palkia, Silvally, and it did give a win for Hyper Offense, and then it lost to Buzzwell. So yeah, that's all I really have to say. Just Hyper Offense have had such an unfortunate season, and Splash Gaming is on a 2-game win streak right now. So yeah, let's go next. We got Galactic versus Hispanic Dynasty, and my favorite moment from this stream, obviously we got Guzzlord beating Buzzwell Celesteela, which usually you try to counter Guzzlord with Buzzwell, but because Guzzlord is weak to grass, whatever. But there's a clip of the Grindcore versus the Charizard Stowland versus the Stardust Stowland. He goes Grindcore and he gets 5 hits, which was pretty funny. Which was amazing, and it was pretty funny to see on stream. But yeah, Buzzwell, Celesteela, Guzzlord. Celesteela had a strong showing this game, and the Solgaleo Shinotic beat Charizard in the end, which, since it's weak to fire, is kind of funny. But, Hispanic Dynasty did win 10-7, and yeah, Galactic has also had a pretty unfortunate season, but they're still a good team. It's just their season has been kind of unfortunate. They started 0-3, and they did. But yeah, sometimes that happens. Some people have, but yeah, kind of unfortunate to see the Galactic had a pretty unfortunate season. But a very good job from HD with the Gazlor Celesteela and the Buzzle, obviously. Alright, next we got Magma versus Fuji, which I think obviously Suvali Palkia had a pretty decent showing of 3-0 at the end. And Magma won 10-3. It was obviously a pretty strong win. And Fuji was 4-1, and now they're 4-2. But yeah, I think it was Desti. I think he DC'd one game, which is why he lost. Like he lost because he DC'd, I'm pretty sure. I think it was one of the games he DC'd, and that's why he lost, which is pretty funny. But yeah, not very much else. Giratina, Darkrai, and Wally Palkia. So Wally Palkia closed the war out, and Giratina, Darkrai streaked early on. But yeah, that wasn't really close. Magma got a win, and Fuji, which was 4-1, are now 4-2. That's really all. Alright, next we got SVK team versus Squad Zero, which SVK did win. And it's interesting to see Ori, Choreo, Magnezone, and Solgaleo Shinotic tie. I guess if you have a Rocky helmet, the thing that jumps out straight to me is the tie, which I'm not really sure about how that happens. I guess, was it Orikori Magnezone with like, could it been that it went to like turn 30? Is that possible? Could it be possible that they went to turn 30? Maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah, SVK team did get a win. I think this either like their third win or like their second win, which is obviously huge for SVK because they really wanted a win on the board. And Squad Zero had a good start, and I think Squad Zero still has a good record. They're just on a 2-game lose streak currently, but obviously they can still bounce back. But yeah, obviously SVK did really want to win, and they did get a win, so good job to them. And yeah, I'm very interested about this tie, but it might have just been 30 turns. And next we got Daybreak versus Sunclan. We got Daybreak and Sunclan, which was another 9-10. This meta has really had a lot of like 9-10 wars, but we saw Guzzlord Celesteela kind of streak for Daybreak and almost close the war out, but Embraced and Buzzle Celesteela did win 2 in a row to give Sunclan the last wins that they needed. But yeah, very close war. Obviously we got Buzzle Pheromosa doing its thing. We got close Buzzle Celesteela did its thing. Pretty close war in the end. And very unfortunate that Daybreak did lose the way they did lose when they came so close. But that's just how the meta is. And let's just go to the last game, which was Level 6 Project versus Machampions, which I did stream. So that VOD is available on my Twitch channel. If you want to watch, you can watch this back. Yeah, dueling. I remember dueling this game. There's like he hard bricked. I think with Suvali Zerora, he kind of hard brick, and I'm pretty sure he also kind of bricked with Buzzle Celesteela, which happens. But obviously, you break twice, and then they start 2-0. But hold on. ZU did want to tell me, make me say something. So basically, in this game, ZU wasn't on the roster originally. He wasn't supposed to play, so they had someone else that was playing. And at the start, they white screened twice. So he was searching. He didn't like white screens, and then ZU had to like come in instead, and then they started playing the game. But ZU wanted me to say, hold on. Yeah, he wanted me to call Wallfast a clown, basically. he wanted to, because that was the first original player that was gonna come in was a guy called Wallfast, and then ZU wanted me to call him an idiot because he white screened twice, which obviously they still played, didn't get like DC wins for white screens because the game technically never loaded, but ZU had to sub in and he wanted me to call him an idiot. That was pretty much about this game. But we saw Leo and Buzzle do its thing, which has just been the trend this week. So this week, double critical versus Froggy X Blue. I decided to get on Flocky and DC Dreams for an interview because obviously DC have been doing well. They've been four wins in a row, and I think it was because of some good signings. But I've seen DC Dream and Flocky have good games constantly, so I wanted to talk to them. So if you guys wanna like introduce yourselves.
Yeah, thanks for having me first off, Shiny. My name is Flocky. I'm from Double Critical, and my teammate His name is Dreams. He's from Double Critical. His English is a little iffy, so I'm gonna try and translate on his behalf. But thank you for having us, man.
Yeah, so my first question was obviously this game versus Froggy X Blue. How did it go? Like, was there any notable like highlights or anything or like moments?
Yeah, I mean, just by looking at the battle reports, I think it's pretty safe to say that both my decks overperformed. I brought in Greninja or Choreo. That deck did really well. It beat Sovali Ramp twice actually, and then it did lose to Guzzlord Celesteela, but then Garatia Dark I had a little streak, so I think I played very tightly, but there's also a little bit of luck involved in pocket. So it was a good sweep. It was a good game for me as well. So just very happy about the overall result for sure.
Yeah, and then if you wanna say what Dreams had to say because he didn't write for us.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you. So this was Dreams' like whole perspective on it. So he said yesterday's match was very intense for me. All week, I repeated to the team that we had to win. And especially for this match because it was against Froggy X. I have a lot of friends on Froggy X team. In addition, Froggy X Blue was the favorite for this week, which made the challenge more exciting and made us want to win even more. And along that, he said that I piloted my teammates all morning, noon, and night to play 1v1 matches and train our decks in order to be up to the task. And I think that the training paid off. So on the day of the match and the third GGB match, Dinkle named me the lead. It was a huge source of pride for me. I had to be up for the task, but unfortunately in game 1, a connection error made me lose the match. I kept my head up and equalized in game 2, and then comes game 3, where Zard was ineffective versus Darktina, and then he passed the baton on to Flocky, me, and then from there, yeah, the battle report was history. So, yeah, the mindset was kind of what Dream said. We all prepared pretty hard for this match. We were super excited for this match, especially coming in as the underdogs. So we were super happy that it went how it did. And yeah, that's really it, man.
All right. So another question is really how the situation I guess in Double Critical is like. Obviously, from being O2, I guess you guys were new signings, obviously. But I think you guys as new signings really did kind of change some stuff around in the team. Obviously, Dinko, Barry, and all the people all did everyone collectively. But I think you guys were a pretty like important signing, pretty much.
Yeah, to kind of speak on that. And our manager Dinko has spoken on this as well. The primary issue was that the team was never bad. I think the team was just too like thin and too stretched out, where it was like only like 4 or 5 people that were really like putting in work or like really like putting in like a decent amount of effort towards GGB. So now you enter me and Dreams, who Dreams probably plays pocket more than everyone else on our team combined. I don't think that's an exaggeration at all, but both of us are kind of like workhorses that we're willing to like prepare and put the work in. And so given that with the existing core and setup of DC, I think it was a really good combination. It really allowed us to like switch the team around from 0-2 to 4-2 for sure.
Yeah, and then Dreams also had his.
Yeah, James' insight was, as for the 0-2 to 4-2, we had to turn to Dinkle and TNS as manager and leader. They did an excellent job of recruiting. Every player in the team is important. Even if a player is not aligned on the team, he is present in VC on D-Day and provides us coaching. We are truly a close-knit and united team where no player is left out and where everyone provides their opinion and helps to improve the XR strategy, etc., etc. The intense cohesion is due to Dinkle and TNS, who know how to have the right words to say day after day and who have the effective recipes by devoting their time to going in-depth analysis on the teams we play, on the decks that perform in tournaments, etc., etc. And yeah, I will say Dinkle has been completely vital in our prep and just like how we prepare for teams, especially looking at like metadata and like what teams are projected to bring. That really helps us kind of like figure out the most efficient decks to bring per lineup, what to counter, and like stuff like that. So Dinkle's like, he's been great as a manager and just like helping us kind of like show our true potential as players as well.
All right, that's good. And then any like final comments or stuff you guys want to tell the community? I know Flock, I know you personally, I've seen you kind of argue with people in general chat, but I guess like all jokes obviously sometimes, but and just like any comments or anything you guys would want to tell the community.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you guys like Dreams' like speech and then go to mine, I guess. He said, finally, I would like to thank the entire GGB community, organizers, judges, players, etc. for welcoming me. I had some great meetings with players of great renown. Thank you for the fun atmosphere and the general chat at times. It's not easy to follow everything being French, but we adapt. I also want to thank each player and member of my team for supporting me in my crazy side in VC, but also for their confidence in me and for their precious help, which allows me to improve every day. A final word, here it is, DC. And yeah, I feel like Dream said everything that I wanted to say as well. I know I'm a huge troll sometimes, but it's all love, really. And with that being said, DC on top, yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you for this interview and good luck with the rest of the season. And yeah, hopefully you guys can keep up the good performances and maybe you guys can get the Chef rematch in playoffs. Who knows? But yeah.
Yes, I will be looking forward to that because me and Dreams did miss that. So we will need our clap back for sure. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Which we see pocket shifts. Get number one again after their win, and obviously LSP did lose. No, LSP. I mean SPS. Obviously, Solarbeam Syndicate, which was week 5, they were first. They lost, and because of Chef's good differential and their good, What is that called? Their good round difference. Chefs did get number 1, and yeah, and then Pocket Chefs, Solarbeam Syndicate, and Third Eye actually. Fuji, obviously, their loss was a heavy round difference hit, so they did go down. Fuji, one loss, by the way. This is I have to emphasize this like a lot, but just one win, just like one game does such a huge difference. Last week, Fuji was in the top 3, and one big loss put them at 10 from one loss because they lost so much round difference. Yeah, that's it for the standings. Let's look at the weekly matches. Obviously we got Chef Froggy X Blue. We got Third Eye Fuji, which that is a good game. Obviously we got SPS Sunclan, we got Daybreak Team A, and Mid Champions Froggy X Red, and Hyper Offense and Galactic. One of the teams have to win, right? Obviously the two teams that have like Galactic and Hyper Offense obviously are like I don't want to say the worst teams. Obviously record wise they're the worst teams, but yeah, so obviously one of those teams are getting a win. But yeah, I think that's it for like the highlight games. I think SPS Sunclan and Third Eye Fuji looks like the showdown, especially with a new meta coming. And then I wanted to talk about the player of the week this week for week 7 was obviously Toby. So shout outs to Toby, and you can see on screen, very good job from Toby, 8-2. And then I wanted to talk about the transfers. Actually, I wanted to talk about transfers real quick. The week 7 was like the last day for transfers. Obviously for people that are in teams, you can leave a team and then join another team, and then you're stuck with that team. But obviously if you were in a team, you can still get picked up. Basically the trade line drama we had, like not really, but we had kind of poach and Hanamon from MSP got poached to Puckchef, which if you guys want a more like a sports example, this is basically Kevin Durant going to the Warriors. Obviously Puckchef is already a stacked team and they're number 1 in the league, or you can say it's like Kylian Mbappe going to Madrid, right? It's already like a good player is already going to like a stacked roster. But yeah, I did want to show the poach off. I wanted to show off the transfer news because that was all the really transfer news. There wasn't any more like transfer news, like they were pretty huge. It was really this poach from MSP to Puckchef. But yeah, I want to show that. And that is it for this week. The interview is in the DC game, obviously. And yeah, I really wanted to show the transfer news portion, and I wanted to, but that was basically it. I'm just rambling. See you guys next week.